Here's something I want to show you. Here we are. These are the languages which the review is printed in. And then there are some languages which are published online. But it wasn't always like this. Look, come with me. When the review La Civiltà Cattolica started, the language used for anything that was important, anything that counted, especially when it came to things like theology, philosophy, society and culture, anything intellectual really, the language used was Latin. And I went in the library to look for some books that were printed in those years. Trust me, it was not easy. The library here is massive. They're not organized in years of publication, obviously. They're organized by author and topic. So finding these books was not easy, but I managed to find some that were printed in the 1800s. These are printed in Latin. It was the language used for what counted. The Jesuits wanted to publish this review in Italian. Now, there are many cultural both factors as well as repercussions that stem from this. But the main aspect that I'd like to focus on is that it was accessible. What's so important about the language? Up to a certain extent, our world can be limited by the language or languages we speak, while at the same time, our worldview can be formed by them. I'll give you a very simple example that you can try for yourselves. Open up a Wikipedia article. With some articles, this will work better than with others, but you can pick anything. Open it up in your native language, in your mother tongue. Read it through, and then once you're done, on the left-hand side, you'll see that there are other languages. Pick one which you can understand and read it in the other language. You'll see that different sections of the article are explained to varying levels of depth. Some are expounded upon better, while others are left more bare. Different languages don't just express themselves differently. Sometimes they give different levels of importance to different aspects. Now, back to La Civiltà Cattolica. Here's where it changed. For 4,000 editions, this review was published in Italian. That's from right up there all the way to there, right there. Here we find the 4,000th edition. By the way, we just bind them to store them like this. The review normally comes out in single editions, but we bind them. On this milestone, that was the 4,000th edition, and with the pontificate of Pope Francis, both the desire and the need was felt to start sharing the review's outlook and worldview in more languages, and with this to have Jesuit writers from all over the world collaborate. On the 4,000th edition, we started to publish it in Korean, in Spanish, in English, and in French. These developments and this work didn't stop here. After these, we also had the development of the online Chinese version. Then we also had an online as well as a print version in Japanese. And then, finally, recently, we have the online version in Russian. Now I know English and Maltese, and I can get by with my Italian with a few mistakes. And I studied some basic Mandarin, so that means I could read this one and this one. I enjoy practicing some of my Chinese on the Chinese version. But I still need to learn these languages. You might be asking why these videos of La Civiltà Cattolica are in English. And the answer is quite simple, really. It's because it's the language that I'm most able to communicate in. Now, don't get me wrong, I still make mistakes in English, but my Italian is just not up to scratch to be able to make videos. At least not yet. We'll see as things go on. By the way, I forgot to mention, I forgot to mention last week, these videos are going to start coming out weekly on a Thursday. So I'll catch you next Thursday or whenever you decide to watch these videos.